Howdy folks. Today I want to talk about a PC audio card. So I use PCs, have for years, and at some point Apple decided that they weren't going to make computers with expandable PCI slots anymore. So the industry shrunk, and basically there's very few PCI Express audio cards that you can purchase anymore that are, well, never mind for audio files, just generally good in any respect. You can get lots of USB things, and I'll get into that in a minute. So what we have here today is a EVGA NuAudio sound card, and PCI Express connection on this guy. I already unboxed it. It doesn't really come with much. I should say it has RGB lighting. Who gives a shit, right? But it does support, actually I wonder if it supports Mac. I actually have no idea. And I'm not going to care about that right now. But in any case, well, it says Windows 10 only. Whatever. Okay, so this does support DSD, 384 kilohertz, 32-bit, 600 ohm amp stock. So you can plug headphones into this and get plenty of volume, like big cans. Like I said, RGB crap. And so these, I think this stands for the capacitors. It has these special audio capacitors all over the whole thing. And also, although this is branded EVGA, it's made by Audio Note, which I know nothing about, but just thought I'd mention. And so, here's what we have. Zoom in just a little bit there. Okay, so what we're looking at here is a modified EVGA NuAudio card. This, I'll just take it out, is a Sparkos, oh god, I gotta look it up. It's their Pro Audio op amp. It's a dual, right? Call it the Big Mac op amp. It's their top of the line one. They're $80 a piece. So this little op amp sandwich is $160, including the adapters, which adapt it to a standard socket, which is what this card has. Okay, so let's talk about a few things. Chips that we can see on here, we have an XMOS processor. Anybody that knows about audio gear might notice that this is in a lot of USB audio devices. We'll get into that in a minute. This has two op amp sockets, 1, 2. So this is this one applies to the line outs, and this socket here applies to the headphone out, this one. Okay, this is important. According to the specifications, this op amp only runs at a maximum of 6 volts, and I believe the socket itself puts out a maximum of 6 volts. So this is important. The op amp in here, which I could look up, it's an analog devices, something or other. It's special apparently in that it runs between, well, it runs at 5 volts apparently, I think. It could run at 6, but basically the circuit for the line outs is made especially for this op amp, so we don't change this. There are in fact op amps that I've looked up that have the specs that should match this. The Muses 01 is one of them. I haven't done it because I'll get into that, but this one is more important to me because I bought this board as a platform for this op amp. I've tried this Sparkos op amp in a bunch of different devices. So far, nothing really popped out as being like a good synergy with this. I should say it runs from approximately, I think, 9 volts to 24 volts. That's the range of this op amp. And this socket is, oh god, I think it's 16 volts, maybe 14, but that's this socket's op amp socket. So what we're looking at here is one extender. So I stuck one extender on this, and the op amp itself, the adapter comes with one extender. So basically we're gonna go like this. This just seats in like that and just clears the capacitors right there. Get it nice and in there. And yeah, so this was my platform. I wanted a platform, a DAC platform for this op amp. And other important things, it has an AK DAC. It's a, well, it's not the top of the line one, I'll just put it like that. But it is an AK DAC, and I prefer those over Sabre for a couple of reasons. Mostly just I think they sound a little creamier and more rich. Pretty much that, a little less analytical. So this is modified EVGA NuAudio audio card. And so XMOS processor, what this actually is this is a, like when the computer sees this audio card, it actually sees a USB controller, and that's it. And so I first stuck it in my computer, and it's got this, so it draws power from your power supply directly with this serial ADA power connector. And just because I had a Molex connector, so anybody that knows about PCs, Molex does not fit this. I had an adapter, so I plugged the Molex, well, here, let me find the adapter so that you know what not to use. Haha. So this is a Molex to PCI Express, or whatever we call this, SATA power adapter. And I plugged this in and the damn thing didn't work. It kept showing up and saying that the USB something or other was not identified correctly and Windows couldn't do anything with it. So finally I'm like, well, I do know that these don't pass through all the voltages correctly in terms of what's available on this connector, so I just plugged a serial ADA connector directly from my power supply and then the whole thing worked. So I just wanted to mention that these are no bueno with this. Don't even try it, it's not useful. Alright, so as I mentioned, this op amp only functions with this, which is the headphone out, the 600 ohm headphone out. It's also got a line in, well, let's just look at that. It's got a line in, mic in, and an SPDIF out, optical, and then line out's RCA. But, like I said, this op amp only affects this jack. So, basically, because of the fact that the other op amp socket is special in the voltage range, and it won't run this op amp, my Big Mac op amp. So I got this little adapter, no big deal, right? We just do this, and good to go. Plug that into our whatever, and volume match the the headphone output, and good to go. Can plug this into any kind of line device. So I generally wouldn't have made a video about this, but this thing performs much better than anything else I own. Much better. The amount of detail levels coming out of this device are incredible. So I would call this particular setup absolutely studio reference in every respect. What you put into this, you get out of it. When I A/B test, and I even had a friend do this, compared to the I use the SPDIF optical into a receiver, and then I use the line out into the same receiver, but just using the analog receiver parts rather than any kind of digital connections for this. And the difference is absolutely stunning, just stunning. This op amp is absolutely reference. You will hear more detail, more texture, more everything in any track you ever put through this. I'm not sure I mentioned this, but this is actually, since it's a USB audio card that's got the XMOS processor, this will decode DSD. I don't know the top level, but it will decode DSD natively, which I don't believe any other audio card has, because only the XMOS processors can do this, which generally you find on USB devices, which this is, but kind of not really, because it runs off of a linear power supply, which is your power supply, very high quality. Computer power supplies are linear, very high quality linear power supplies. So and then also the trace circuits going from the processor to the op amps and everything are very small. Technically speaking, I could probably shield this thing and get a little bit, level up, but the noise levels on this are absolutely zero. Nothing. You can, I have studio monitors plugged into this, and they're basically maxed out all the time. So if you stick your ear up to a studio monitor, they're gonna, if there's noise, you hear it. This is a genuine step up in noise level reduction from anything else I've ever tried in a PC, which in my mind is a complete win. One of the reasons I kind of went through this route is because USB devices, when I plug into my DACs and whatever else I plug in, would always get some level of noise that I found to be unacceptable. That the DAC itself wasn't producing, the computer was somehow influencing through the USB connection, and this doesn't have that, so thank God. I didn't even know it was USB, but I wanted to mention that because for a lot of folks, USB devices do in fact produce horrible noise, computer noise, and this doesn't. So let's give that a thumbs up on that. But regardless, this is absolutely reference. You will hear more detail, more everything. The soundstage is wider, bigger, deeper. It is truly reference. And I mean, technically speaking, this analog output power amp that's connected to this card costs more than the card. This is $160. The card was $150 I bought it for, so we're over $300. But you will hear this. This audio card as a platform for this op amp is freaking stunning. If only it had balanced outputs, then this would be a complete package, but I haven't been able to figure that part out yet. Anyway, but you get it. So I wanted to give a huge shout out to this audio card. PC people probably should pay attention to this, because in terms of a high quality inside device that you can put inside your PC, I don't think you can get better than this. I really don't. This is the top level. So 320 bucks. You got to do, by the way, this comes in parts. You got to solder it together in case anyone cares. Sparkos is out of Denver, or sorry, I'm not sure Denver, but Colorado. So it's a United States manufacturer. They will ship overseas, and a couple folks have gotten them. It took a while, but they got them and they were happy. So good to go on that. The guy that makes these, Andrew, is fantastic. You can send him questions and he's happy to respond and talk about the technical specifications of this op amp, which is so far beyond most op amp things. Like single chip, what this audio card came with was a single chip Texas Instruments OPA, like I forget, 271 or something, which is like $1 compared to 160. And you might say, well, you know, price does not influence performance, but in this case, it absolutely fucking does. This thing is legit. This is as good as it gets. So, can't give this a higher recommendation, although obviously this is going to take some nerding and some geeking and soldering, and I'll feel free to, you know, ask me questions about it if anybody cares, but about the best internal audio card device, anything you can get on a PC ever, hands down. One last thing that just popped into my mind: the line in on this is an AK ADC, not DAC, but ADC, analog to digital converter. So the line in on this should be actually fantastic, and it's got a mic in too. I think it's the same, so that could be useful for people that are doing, you know, podcasts or recordings or whatever. Should be very, very high quality inputs on this. All right, run in, guys. Take care. Bye bye.